Boom, we are live. Yes, yes, yes. We are live for another episode of the Social Media Blueprint for Businesses. What we do on a regular basis every Thursday, 5 p.m. for a 10-week period. We've broken things down to 10 weeks. This is week 6. And what we do on a regular basis is we talk about social media strategies for businesses. Now, if you don't own a business and you want to jump into the world of social media, maybe as an influencer or whatnot, all of the tools and tips and tricks that we go over in this webinar are for you. Absolutely. But this is going to be great, great, great. My wonderful partner in crime is not here today, Mr. Austin Bozek, my guy. He's not going to be with us today, but definitely he'll be with us next week. He's the guy that's pressing all the right buttons, and he's in the back making sure that that QR code that you see there on the screen works well. By the way, speaking of the QR code, scan the QR code, set up a one-on-one with myself, with yours truly, and let's talk about your social media strategy for your business. Do you like it? How well is it performing for you? Do you have a social media fingerprint? Do you have an omni-channel approach to your social media? If you do not, scan the QR code. It is free. We'll sit and talk and go over your strategy and what it looks like and what it should be. However, today we're going to have a great time talking about today's lesson. Today's lesson is about not being overwhelmed when it comes to you creating your social media content. I know for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've been talking about batching your content and content calendars and what that all looks like. But I want to jump into this today. We're going to talk about content repurposing. Okay. We want you to start doing more with less. Now, you've heard me talk about the repurposing of your content. Okay. You've heard me talk about that. You've heard me talk about how you take one piece of content and you cut it up and you put that across the social media platforms. But at the same time, you've heard me mention that I've always doubled down. Hold on. Let me do this. Give me a second here. There we go. I've always doubled down and said that the platforms, we went extensively through all of these 6 weeks, these courses, and we've pinpointed that though you're taking one piece of long form content, for example, and you're going to be taking that content and you're going to be repurposing it to other platforms, we've mentioned that you have to understand what those platforms want. Okay. The algorithm loves you. The algorithm wants to work with content creators that are consistent, not just frequent, that are consistent. And by doing that, it's going to yield you wonderful results. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about content repurposing, the mastery of it, doing more with less. Let me read this to you. Stop the content creation hamster wheel. Okay. What does that mean? Okay. That means that oftentimes when you're creating your content, a lot of times we're making content at the last minute. A lot of times we don't have a system by which we're letting things and tools, resources, I should say, work for us. Okay. In today's session, you're going to discover how to transform a single piece of content into multiple pieces of assets and content. We're calling it the 9X. Now I know 10X sounds cool, but we'll let Mr. Grant Cardone have his 10X statement. I like the 9X. All right. But of course you can have it 20X, 30X or whatever. But today we're going to talk about a 9X approach to repurposing of your content. Okay. Now, why repurposing is the content creator's secret weapon. Okay. Now, right here, we're going to look at the 4 powers of repurposing. I want you to understand this. Okay. Now, time efficiency, research expansion, message reinforcement, and content longevity. I'm going to say those things again. You see it here on the screen. Time efficiency, reach expansion, growth. Okay. Message reinforcement, how to double down your message. This is going to be in multiple pieces of content. And last but not least, content longevity. Okay. Now, time efficiency is talking about less creation time, more leverage for existing assets. Okay. I hope you understand what we're getting at here. For reach expansion, we're talking about the various platforms, your YouTubes, your LinkedIn's, your Instagrams, your Facebook, including TikTok. Okay. Of course, we can throw Twitter in there, but we're not going to do that right now. But we're talking about the different platforms equaling different audience segments. So if that's the case, how are we going to properly foster relationships on those platforms with that, let's say with that one piece of content? Okay. Message reinforcement. People need to hear your message 7 times before truly following you or sticking with your message. Okay. When you're putting content out last minute and you're hoping upon a star that people follow you with your content, they follow your services, they download or they click on your CTA, you have to realize you have to be mainstay to build trust, right? So message reinforcement. And last but not least, content longevity. A 2022 blog post can become a fresh LinkedIn carousel in 2025. I love that. Okay. What that means is this: content that you've posted on one platform does not mean that it's been taken in by the masses. You can repurpose that. Even if you have old content, we can repurpose your content, your old content, and make it valuable and give it legs. Okay. So the 4 powers of repurposing: time efficiency, reach expansion, message reinforcement, and last but not least, content longevity. Now, the repurposing pyramid, okay? My colleague created this. One source, multiple outputs. Now, long form content, short form content, and mid form content. All right. A lot of times we don't talk about mid form content. We always talk about long form and short form. All right. And a lot of times when we talk about short form, it makes us very lazy. Yep. It makes us very lazy when we're creating content, because what we want is we want a quick fix. We don't really want to look at the analytics. We don't. It's okay. I love looking at it. You don't. You don't want to look at the analytics, right? As a business, you want it to work. You want to put your content out there and you want to make money. I get it. But stay with me for a minute. We have the pyramid of repurposing here. So you have long form content. We know what long form content is. Long form content primarily goes on your YouTube, or if you have a Vimeo account. Okay. These platforms are for education. You know that, right? So webinars, podcasts, YouTube videos, right? That's your long form. What's mid form content? Never heard of mid form content? Mid form content can be your blog posts, right? Mid form content can be your article that came from a video that you wrote that you put into LinkedIn, okay? LinkedIn articles. And it can also be newsletters. Now, when it comes to short form, we know what that is. It's your reels, it's your TikTok videos, it's your quotes, it's the carousels, it's your shorts, okay? Even tweets, short form content, okay? Now, I hope you know what we're getting at here. We're talking about multiple pieces of content coming from one source content, okay? You make a video and you post it and then that's it. And you don't cut it. You don't reimagine it. We don't rethink about it. You know what I'm saying? We don't do any of that. And we just are wasting resources, not truly repurposing our content. So stay with me. Long form, mid form, short form. Okay. So the, the power principle here is 1 hour of long form content can fuel an entire month of short form posts. Short form posts. I'm going to say that again. 1 hour of long form content can fuel an entire month. This is crazy. An entire month of short form posts. But that's very true. Okay. Very, very true. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And here's a pro tip. Okay. Aligning each pyramid layer that you see here, your long form and your mid form and your short form, with your content pillars, such as, remember, education, motivational, and promotional, gives you a breadth, or I should say brevity of content. It allows for you to be able to say, okay, I know what this platform is for, YouTube, education, right? I can take that long form piece of content as our power principle suggests and make a wealth of content. And we're going to show you how to do that. Okay. So please keep this in mind. And also too, as you're watching this, scan the QR code. Okay. Set up the one-on-one and we can talk about how ACAT Social can actually take care of your business's social media needs. All right. Moving right along. Now, the 9X content flip. All right. The 9X content flip. I'm smiling because I refuse to put, I didn't want to put 10X there. I think people 10X, they use 10X to the nth degree. And I'm like, let's go 9X. Anyway, so a single 3-minute video clip can transform video into a platform specific clips, quote graphics, LinkedIn text posts. Okay. 3 minutes, a 3-minute video about what? About the services that you're offering, about the products that you're selling, about the, let's call it the pain point that you're addressing, right? 3-minute video can create what? A platform specific clip, such as a YouTube short, Instagram reel, or on TikTok with an optimized aspect ratio. Okay. In addition, it can create quote graphics, What do you mean by quote graphics? I'm saying that in that 3-minute video, you're speaking and you're saying things that have merit, that matter. Let's take that quote. What's the most profound, the most alarming, the most inquisitive thing you've said in that 3 minutes? And let's make a carousel or a quote graphic out of it. Pull powerful sound bites and transform them into shareable Canva graphics. Okay. And of course, we always want to add CTAs to that. Moving right along. This same 3-minute video clip can create what? It allows you to create LinkedIn text posts. Like that 3-minute video can be an article because you can transcribe that video, take that video and put it into Chat GPT. Chat, I need you to write me a 500 to 700 word article based on this 3-minute video. And I would love for you to not forget to add some bullet points and some key takeaways and maybe some, let's go with some case studies in there, some examples of case studies and put it into the article. All right. From the 3-minute video, this is the LinkedIn text post. So extracting a transcript snippet with a thoughtful insight for engagement. Okay. So now we just said a single 3-minute video clip can transform a video into these 3 items. Okay. Now watch this. You don't need, like, as it says here, 9 to 10 new ideas. You need one great idea, repurpose 9 to 10 ways or different 9 to 10 ways in which you can deliver that. I'm going to say this again. You don't need 9 to 10 new ideas. You really don't. Okay. Look at your content pillar list. Pull one of them. That's your good idea. Okay. That one great idea will repurpose into 9 to 10 different great posts and thought-provoking ideas that promote your products and your services. All right, moving right along. Now we're going to look at the 9. We're going to continue looking at the 9X content flip here. All right. So let's go back to that original 3-minute clip that we just talked about. All right. So how else can we create more content? All right. So this last clip here said platform-specific clips, quote graphics, as well as LinkedIn text posts. But moving right along, we can also create Instagram carousels out of it by transforming in 3 key takeaways into swipeable slides, right? We can also create a newsletter section. Where would the newsletter section go, Derek? I'm glad you asked. Your newsletter section will go on your LinkedIn account. When do I start promoting a newsletter on my LinkedIn account? I'm going to say after 1 full month of putting articles out every week on your LinkedIn account. Okay. How many articles a week should go out on my LinkedIn account, Derek? I'm going to say about 2 to 3 articles per week should go out. Where are those articles going to come from, Derek? Glad you asked. Those articles, Derek, those articles are going to come from the videos that you're putting across your YouTube. Okay. Can I create articles from shorts? You can, but I don't suggest it. I would suggest you create articles from your long form, whether it's a 2-minute video or a 3-minute video. Does that make sense? Okay. So newsletter section, summarize insights from your email subscribers. But again, these articles are going to come from your videos. Okay. Blog expansion is another way in which you can take that 3-minute clip and add content. That same article, but let's repurpose that article. The article I'm referring to is the article that we put on LinkedIn. Okay. Take that LinkedIn article and also put it into your blog post on your website. Or do you have a landing page? Good. Let's put that article on your blog with the same CTA links in the article, in the blog. Okay. Flesh out concepts into SEO friendly content. Okay. And of course, we're going to go in more detail in weeks to come about how to properly align articles with SEO friendly content. All right. In addition to taking this 3-minute video clip and making Instagram carousel reels, newsletter section articles, as well as blog expansion, which are nothing more than additional articles, you will also offer what we call BTS or behind the scenes. Okay. So these additional formats matter in the form of, for example, with behind the scenes, it's more or less you sharing production stills as Instagram stories. Okay. That could be more behind the scenes. When we say behind the scenes, I know I haven't elaborated more on that, but I will in the future. But what we're getting at is you taking more or less your stories. They don't have to always be video. They can be still clips, but putting the proper text on top of them. these stories can be a carousel story as well. Also, a podcast micro clip. Okay. So extract, this is really cool. If you have a podcast, okay, repurpose the audio of the podcast or repurpose the audio of your webinar. Hear me now, and extract the audio snippets for podcast platforms. So a lot of times we do podcasts today, and we're thinking of a visual video podcast that we can see. But a lot of people listen to things without watching the video. A lot of people are listening to videos, listening to the audio, the MP3 audio of a lot of video clips. So if you have a webinar that's not too long, about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, okay, 35 minutes at max, I would say also take the audio from that and add that to something like Spotify or something like Apple, by which people can listen to just the audio versions of that. Okay, that's the podcast micro clip. That's what this slide is talking about here in this section. Also, engagement posts. What is that? Create a poll or question based on the content. Polls do very, very well on LinkedIn. Very, very well. Very well. I've exhausted myself on LinkedIn with polls and looking at how well they do. But polls don't just automatically start doing well as soon as you start your LinkedIn. I'm going to say start adding those articles to your LinkedIn first. Add your shorts and your reels to your LinkedIn as well. And then in the second month, add that newsletter. Okay, add the newsletter section to your LinkedIn. And then once you are getting some great momentum, because remember, within LinkedIn, it's all based on impressions. Impressions are big. Then you can start adding those polls for maximum results. Remember, each platform has unique formats and audience expectations. So we need to adapt accordingly to the platform. The YouTube audience doesn't want what the Instagram audience wants. If people on YouTube want the Instagram experience, you know what they do? They go to Instagram. Same thing applies for TikTok. All right. Now, tools to make repurposing effortless. All right. I talked about this last week. I'm going to reiterate it today. All right. Tools to make repurposing effortless. Editing and clipping. You have video, you want it to look decent. What should you use? Descript, Opus Clip, CapCut. Which one do I personally use? I dabble with CapCut. I dabble with Opus Clip. Okay. Designing and branding. You need a logo. You want something to look good. You're offering an event for a product that you're offering for a limited time. Canva templates, Adobe Express. We utilize at AK Social. We utilize both of those, as well as some other software that's quite expensive that we use. Okay. These are not expensive, and they have free versions of these as well. Okay. Copy support. Now, ChatGPT for caption, rewrites, headlines, variants, and hooks is great. Okay. There's also other platforms out there like ChatGPT that allows for wonderful copy. Okay. Such as, I know this name sounds crazy, but the name is called Write, WRITE, Cream, CREAM. I know that's a terrible name, but it's called Write Cream. And it's a ChatGPT type of AI software that you can look into. Okay. Type in Write Cream in Google and have at it. Okay. Now, here's the thing about copy support. Okay. Let's not be lazy, please. Okay. Yes, ChatGPT is impressive, but the human touch is still today most necessary. So when you use ChatGPT, please stop copying and pasting what ChatGPT created into wherever you're trying to put it without vetting it, without looking at it. I'm always going to suggest to take the copy of what you take out of ChatGPT and put it into Grammarly. Grammarly has a free version. Okay. Put it into Grammarly so it can check the grammatical errors within what ChatGPT is offering you. Okay. ChatGPT is great. ChatGPT is now at 5.0, right? And it's fantastic. I get it. But let's be a little bit more intentional with our copy. All right. And last but not least, we have scheduling. Okay. We have scheduling. Scheduling is really, really big. I'm a big proponent for a service known as Buffer. Okay. I like Buffer. Do I personally use Buffer? No. We at AK Social, we don't use Buffer. However, Buffer is fantastic. Okay. You also have Sprout Social. I'm going to say Sprout Social is more or less on the expensive side. I believe Sprout Social believes that they can justify their costs, but they do have some offerings that are more, let's say, small business friendly. But again, MetroCool, as I talked about last week, is really a great scheduling tool. Later is also a really cool scheduling tool. I would say Later is a little bit more robust right now than Buffer, but Buffer is doing their thing. They're adding some AI resources to what they're offering. But again, these scheduling platforms are for what? Scheduling all of your repurposed content in advance. So that 3-minute video that you took and then you repurposed in multiple ways, right? You don't want to manually put that on the different platforms. You can input all of the accounts that you have into these services and tell those services when you want to put those pieces of content out, and it works like a charm. Highly, highly, highly recommend that. Okay, highly recommend taking advantage of these repurposing tools. Okay, building your repurpose library. Okay, so here we're talking about what to include. Right, raw video and audio files, transcripts of all spoken content, key quotes and sound bites, screenshots and imagery. Okay, content categorized by pillars and topics. What is this? What am I talking about? These are your templates, if you will, that you're going to start keeping so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you're creating your content. I'm going to go over this list again. You'll see it here. You'll have it. But raw video and audio files, okay, that you can keep repurposing if you're going to do ad spins for an audio file or for a video file. You can do ad spins. You can do it seasonally, okay? Transcripts of all spoken content. You can post something seasonally, but it's the same message, but it's for the same products. And you can repurpose that, okay? You don't have to always keep reinventing the wheel. Key quotes and sound bites. You can use those seasonally. Yes, you can. Screenshots and imagery. You can go hard with that all the time, as well as content categorized by pillars and topics, which for the things above that makes it more organized. Now, the library structure you see here, organized by content pillars first, okay? Then by format, such as your video, audio, and text, okay? These are nothing more than folders, but follow along with me here. Add tags to each searchability. Track what's being repurposed and where. Track what's being repurposed and where. Where as in what platform did you put it on and when did you do it? Okay. Does this seem like we're going too granular? We probably are, but you know what? This is also going to be for those social media coordinators and managers that you want to hire. Or you hire AKIT Social to do all of this for you. And the things we're talking about, you don't have to do it at all. Hit the QR code here, scan the QR code for the free consultation, and we'll sit down, do a one-on-one and break all this down for you. Okay. Now, also, last but not least, note performance matrix to inform future decisions. This is really big. Having your matrix and measuring your analytics is everything. Okay. All of the things that we talk about. Okay. Yeah, I may be the face of ACAD, but there are some very smart individuals behind me that are helping myself and our team to understand what we're doing. At the end of the day, when it comes to social media, it's about the numbers. Okay. It's about the numbers. You can't just keep being insane and keep making the same posts and last minute and no vetting and no content pillars and expecting better results. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's about the performance matrix. And we have to make sure that we're looking at content that way. Okay. Also, too, here's a pro tip for you. All right. Set your calendar reminder to revisit your library quarterly and resurrect high performing content with new angles. I'm going to read that to you again as you see it here. Set a calendar reminder to revisit your library quarterly, okay, every 3 months, okay, and resurrect high performing content for new angles. Now, at AKIT Social, we do this bi-weekly. All right, we do this bi-weekly. But if it's just you and your one-man crew, make it lighter on yourself. Or if you have a team, you can do more heavy lifting in this department. If you have a business, I recommend you do it bi-weekly and once a month. All right. Now, your repurposing action plan. Okay, here are 5 cool steps. All right. So step 1, audit your content. Audit your content. Identify your 3 to 5 highest performing pieces from the last 6 months. Okay. Step 2, plan your flip. What is that? What am I talking about? All right. For each piece of content, I want you to brainstorm at least 5 different formats it could take. Okay. That's planning it. That's trying to figure out, okay, let me brainstorm the top 5 pieces of content that I have and how can we remix it? All right. Step 3, we want to create templates. So build reusable designs, okay, and copy templates, copy meaning the text, whatever you wrote, okay, for faster transformation. Now, by doing this also helps with you offering multiple email drip campaigns. So if you have a hot lead, what's that email look like? If you have a warm lead, that email should be different than the hot lead email. And the cold lead email must be different from all of those, okay? In a new series, we're going to be talking about email drip feeds, right? Which are extremely effective. But that's what we're getting at here as far as creating templates. All right. So that's step 3. But with this, not just talking about an email drip campaign, we're talking about your content that you're going to be putting out across the social media. All right. Step 4 is your batching process. Batching. What is batching? We talked about it last week. You better not have forgotten about that. So so what you're going to do is you're going to set aside dedicated time to transform multiple pieces at once. Remember that 3-minute video? That can be a part of your batching process. So you have 3 3-minute videos, or you have 3 1-hour pieces of content. Remember earlier, we just stated that 1-hour pieces of content can last you about 1 month of deliverables. That's crazy, but it's very true. Okay. And we do it all day, every day. Now, watch this. Step 5, schedule and track. When you're scheduling, how are you scheduling? Remember Buffer? Remember Later? Those are those repurposing platforms that you can use to put in it what days and times you want to start launching your content that you've already batched and put together. So distribute your repurposed content across platforms and measure the results. And measure your results. All right. So there's a homework assignment this week. Select one long form piece of content. Okay. Repurpose it into 3 different formats. All right. And post across 2 platforms. So watch this. We have 1 long form video. We're going to break it up into 3 different formats. Okay. But we're going to put that across 2 platforms. Think about it. All right. Now, final thoughts. Final thoughts. All right. You are the content creator. I don't care if you like it or not. You're the content creator because it's your business. Your business needs eyeballs. Your business needs exposure. Okay. You need people to see your wonderful business that you think is so magically just going to just change people's lives. But if we don't see it, it doesn't exist. Sorry. If we don't see it, it doesn't exist. Do not be afraid to jump into this social media world and make it happen because it's waiting for you. The algorithms are specifically designed to bless you and help you to succeed. Final thoughts. Consistency beats creativity. I'm always going to side with consistency, even against frequency. Okay. But also against creativity, because I can show you content that's out there now that's thriving and doing very well. It's not that creative. It doesn't matter. Okay. You don't need more content. You need more leverage from the content you already have. All right. Remember this: quality over quantity always wins. Your audience sees only 20%. This is wild. Your audience only sees 20% of what you post. That sucks, but it's true, right? So your audience only sees 20% of what your audience only sees 20% of what you post. All right. So that means I should post a whole lot. No, it means you need to be consistently posting. If you consistently post, that number will slightly increase. It can. Okay. Also, repurposing isn't recycling. I love this. Repurposing is not recycling. Okay. It's actually reimagining, right? It's delivering it in a whole new way. Because you know what, as people, we're subjective, right? So we digest things differently. Okay. Also, your next steps. So with this week's worksheet, and the worksheet's going to be in the portal. The worksheet is not going to be in the chat for you to be able to take it today. Okay. But the worksheet is going to in the portal. It's going to be uploaded tonight. We already have it. It's going to be in the portal. Okay. I want you to download the worksheet and complete the activities that are there. There's some really promising activities on how to create content and then repurpose that content the right way. All right. Also, share your repurposed content in your community. And also be sure to join us next week for more valuable insights. Yes. Next week's going to be a lot of fun. Next week's going to be week 7. As I stated before, we were going to push this out about 20 weeks, but we're not. We're going to go only for 10 weeks. Okay. This social media blueprint is going to go for 10 weeks. And this is week 6. All right. So after this week, we have 4 more episodes. Then we're going to go back to the drawing board and focus on what other lessons we need to be teaching businesses to win. Because ultimately, we want you to win. Not to get political, bear with me for a second. Tariffs are real. Okay. Tariffs are real. And there are many businesses that are being hit by tariffs. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because many of these businesses are businesses that are not utilizing social media properly. These are the businesses that are using the age-old methodology of taking their hard-earned cash and throwing it at the marketing wheel, expecting great results. Okay. And for a time, you probably have benefited from doing that, right? Most businesses are taking money and they set aside revenue to be that batch of money that they're going to put out for their ad spending dollars. Respect. I get it. But if you take proper advantage of social media strategies for your business, I promise you, okay, the ROI is unbelievable when you properly leverage social media strategies for your products. Okay. And that's what AKIT Social is here to do, to help you with that. And if you need a social media team to handle everything from the editing to the repurposing, to the scheduling, to the posting, to the analyzing of the analytics and the matrix and making the proper micro pivots for your business, scan the QR code. We'll take good care of you. All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. Let me see here. Yeah, that was our last slide. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a lot of fun going over these wonderful details in the world of social media. Next week will be week 7. We're going to have a lot of fun. But it's Thursday night. It's football. Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to kick the Cowboys' butt. But if there are any Cowboys fans watching this, I'm sorry about that. I'm a Saquon Barkley fan. Okay. But anyway, you guys have a good time and join us next week. All right. You guys be good. Take care. I like that.